Breaking news out of Wilmington, Delaware. Hunter Biden's defense has now rested its case in his federal gun trial without calling the president's son to the stand. He is charged with 3 felonies from a firearm purchase he made in October of 2018. Prosecutors have now begun their rebuttal case. Want to get straight to NewsNation's Joe Khalil outside the courthouse in Delaware. So, Joe, it's official. Hunter Biden deciding not to testify, his defense team deciding that. But it's not a surprise that he won't take the stand. What else have you learned?
Yeah, not a surprise. I mean, it was always a risk. And again, we had kind of judged based on what we heard from the argument this morning from both sides that he may not take the stand. In fact, that's what we know now to be the case. What I can tell you is that there was this, hour and a half, almost 2-hour break. When they returned, what happened was the prosecution actually put a witness on the stand. It was a rebuttal witness, and it was someone we'd seen before. It was Special Agent Erica Jensen from the FBI. If you've been following along, she was actually the first witness that the prosecution brought. They brought her back on with apparently some new information. These are text messages that Hunter was sending back and forth with a number of people whom we assume to be drug dealers themselves, which, again, there was communication back and forth like this already introduced. This time, though, there was geolocation data attached to these text messages. And as the special agent testified, they placed Hunter Biden at a 7-Eleven where we believe that he was allegedly using drugs at this time, a couple days before he bought the gun and a couple days after he bought the gun. And the prosecution also added another quick excerpt from Hunter Biden's book. Again, in his own words, where Hunter Biden says something to the effect of, drug dealers don't work on your schedule. It's always, let's meet at a 7-Eleven, so-and-so time, so-and-so date. So you can see the case the prosecution was building, and they wrapped it up in that way, again, with new information from this FBI agent. That is where we left off in court. Just moments ago, the prosecution saying their case is officially done. The defense has rested their case. So they're in a break right now. And when we come back, what we assume we will see are closing arguments. We know jury instruction has already been prepped and debated in that courtroom. So this case effectively is done, Marni. And now it's going to be, after closing arguments here, in the hands of the jury.
And what more do we know, Joe, about this jury?
Well, as we've been saying, from the beginning, the jury itself is made up of at least 4 people who have some kind of addiction close to them, some immediate family members who've dealt with drug addiction. We've also had a juror who has alcoholism in their family that I believe took the life of someone in their family. So the addiction piece itself is not necessarily maybe an X factor, but it is something that both the defense and the prosecution have had to contend with and have had to sort of tailor their cases around that information. The fact that jurors may be more sympathetic, may be more understanding of addiction. So that is something that I think right away just jumps off the page when you look at the profiles of these jurors. 6 men, 6 women, split exactly evenly. Certain African-American portion on the jury as well. So, that is effectively what we know about the makeup of the jury. How that plays into their decision, we're going to find out. But you have seen certainly both sides play to the histories and the personal experiences of those jurors.
And closing arguments, Joe, will be a summation of what has happened in court. What do we expect from each the prosecution and the defense, the highlights of their case throughout this trial?
Yeah, the prosecution said right from their opening, and we imagine that in closing they may reiterate, that their case feels straightforward. They've said what we've shown is that the defendant was a drug addict. He's been very open. Don't believe us, believe his own words, his own text messages, his own book that he has written about extensively, and that he lied on this gun form, saying he was not an addict, when in fact in that same period of time he called himself an addict. That is what we expect from the prosecution. From the defense, we've heard them make this case that you need to be beyond the shadow of a doubt that Hunter Biden knowingly lied and that he didn't consider himself an addict at that time. So that, we imagine, is going to be what we hear from the defense.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.